Hello, hello. So, my name is Moonsum or Farmsum, whatever you prefer, and this is my first devlog. It'll technically be devlog 0 because I haven't really made anything to really show for a full-on devlog, but I figured I'd make a kind of preliminary one just to kind of outline what I want to do. So, my game, Returned by Dawn, a game that was inspired by both D&D and then a bunch of other roguelites that I've played in the past. It's going to be very linear, and it's going to be very, segment oriented, which means that it's not going to be something where you're constantly in action. You'll have the ups and you'll have like the more lull parts of the game to recoup from the action. And I thought this would be a good way for me to learn game development. This whole project started when I went through and played my first D&D campaign with some buddies. And honestly, I fell in love with it. And, obviously D&D is one of those things where you need to really, really plan in advance for. And I figured, why not make something that we could kind of just hop on and do whatever. Granted, there's always going to be like aspects that are left out that you'll never really get anywhere else except for D&D. But I figured, why not try to make something that was inspired by it? So here I am. Basically, the whole idea of it is you're going to be some sort of, small town-ish, individual, you trying to, rebel against someone who's, bad. So I still need to work on the lore, so bear with me, but it's gonna be very, you are the hero, very, very basic. But at the same time, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the big emphasis on the game will be the gameplay and kind of the combat and everything, because, like I said, I want it to be kind of D&D inspired. So I think when it boils down to just the tags and the different genres of gaming, I kind of want this game to be some sort of procedurally generated turn-based roguelike RPG. Try saying that 5 times fast. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this. I don't really know what I want to start off with. I've got a few ideas. I've made a list on a notepad of all the different things that I want to accomplish, but all those things are going to be very long-term goals, and right now I'm kind of just trying to finish learning the basics, because outside of, preliminary and super basic programs like Scratch and other block coding stuff, I don't really have a whole lot of experience with coding for games or, coding in general. So I paid for a class on Udemy. It was a really good class. I think it taught me a lot of good fundamentals. I'm not sponsored, by the way. I just really enjoyed the class a lot. It was taught by Sam Patuzzi. But yeah, it was a great class, and I learned a lot about, the ins and outs of Blueprint and C++, which, now that I'm starting to get the hang of all of that, I'm starting to make progress. One thing I did get built, and one thing I did want to show everybody, is my modular generation system. So, in the game, there's going to be kind of two types of scenarios. You're going to be in either safe places like towns or cities, stuff like that, and you'll be on what I'm going to call them treks. Treks are going to be completely procedurally generated, and they'll be very you're out in the wild, kind of, you're just trying to make it to the end of the level and maybe have some sort of side objective. So from there, I also want to have the towns be generated differently. I want them to be generated modularly, which means that essentially I've already made some assets or models, and the game will randomly choose from that pack of models. So as you can see here, I've made some nodes, and I've made the structure node. Essentially what it does is it'll pick from a random array in Blueprint of the different structures. Right now I've only got 3. I plan to add a lot more, and I'm not actually going to use these blueprints these classes because they're not very well polished or finished or anything. They're more just a proof of concept. But yeah, from there it also goes and generates a interior node, and then after it generates that interior node, the structure node will destroy itself, so that way it's not, actively in the level and actively taking resources anymore. It served its purpose, and now it's done. My idea for this is, aside from just the super simple structures and everything, there'll be a whole bunch of other events that can occur as well, and all that will stem from different terrain templates that I build. And even then, those will be randomly picked through a different array of different terrains. So I've got a lot to work on, and you know, me being an indie developer and everything, I'm learning that it's not just me having to learn how to code and script or program all of this. I need to learn how to, you know, make some music. I need to learn how to model. I'll probably use Blender for that. I don't actually have a good audio or like a sound capturing software yet. So if you guys have any ideas, but yeah, if you have any ideas or any recommendations for audio software or music software, let me know. But yeah, that's about all I really have for this devlog. It was very, you know, spur of the moment that I decided to make this. But I'm glad I did, because I've got a feeling that with the coming challenges that I'm going to be, you know, facing, trying to work through with this project, I'm going to need that extra little look back to see how far I've come. Because developer logs, they seem very cool in concept. You can kind of just, you know, look back at your prior documentation to kind of see how you did certain things, or kind of see where you were 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. But yeah, this video is already getting like over 6.5 minutes long, so I'm gonna cut it here. I will probably have a bunch of other developer logs coming up soon, probably not. But until then, thanks for watching, and hope you're excited for where this becomes, because I sure am.